You're broke? It's your fault. You're weak? Your fault. Your life isn't what you dreamed of? Still your fault. The truth is brutal, but freedom only starts when you stop blaming the world and start blaming yourself. Because the moment you own everything, you become unstoppable. When you decide that everything in your life is your fault, every mistake, every failure, every setback, that's the moment you become truly powerful. Not because you enjoy pain or want to suffer, but because by taking full ownership, you eliminate excuses. You stop giving the world, the system, or other people power over your destiny. This is radical accountability, and it's the foundation of real strength. Most people are addicted to blame. They blame the economy, their parents, their school, their boss, and their relationships. They spend more time pointing fingers than taking action. But every time you blame someone else, you hand them the steering wheel of your life. You say, I am where I am because of them, and in that moment you become powerless. Taking ownership doesn't mean the world is fair. It's not. Life is brutally unfair. Some people are born rich, some poor. Some are born into love, some into chaos. Some get second chances, others are punished for one mistake. But here's the truth, complaining about unfairness doesn't change your outcome. Owning the situation, even the parts that weren't your fault, gives you back control. Because if it's your fault, it means you can fix it. That's the paradox of power. The more responsibility you take, the more control you gain. When you say, if I'm broke, I did something wrong, you can now change your habits, your work ethic, and your strategy. When you say, if my relationship failed, I chose poorly or showed up incorrectly, you now have the ability to grow and do better next time. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every pain becomes a tool. Most men run from accountability because it's heavy. It crushes your ego. It forces you to look at the mirror and admit you're not who you thought you were. But that's exactly why it works. That kind of pain, when used correctly, is transformational. It humbles you. And only when you're humbled can you be rebuilt into something stronger. The ones who rise in this world are the ones who refuse to play victim. They may be lied about, attacked, broken down, but they never say, it's out of my hands. They say, let's go. I'll take the hit. I'll rebuild again. I'll work harder. I'll think smarter. I'll become untouchable. Power doesn't come from comfort. It comes from doing what others won't. Most people want reassurance. You need results. Most want someone to save them. You become the man who saves himself and then others. So every time life hits you, ask one question: how is this my fault? Not because you caused it, but because that's how you grow from it. That's how you gain control. That's how you become dangerous. Radical accountability turns you from a spectator into the main character, from a pawn into a king. And once you embrace it, nothing can stop you, because now, no matter what happens, you don't flinch. You adapt, you act, you win. Masculinity isn't about lifting weights, shouting loudly, or showing off status. At its core, masculinity is about carrying a burden, heavy burden, the kind that crushes weak men and turns strong ones into legends. A real man doesn't run from responsibility, he seeks it out. He knows that his worth is measured by how much weight he can carry on his back without breaking. The world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards courage, endurance, and the ability to stay composed under pressure. That's the essence of masculinity. It's not about doing what's easy, it's about doing what's necessary, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when nobody claps for you. You are not here to be saved. You are here to lead, to protect, to provide. Your family relies on you. Your future depends on you. Your legacy is being written by the decisions you make when no one is watching. And none of that responsibility is optional. You either carry it or you collapse under it. But you don't get to walk away from it. There will be days when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and alone. Days when the people you protect don't even say thank you. Days when you question if it's even worth it. And that's when your masculinity is tested. Not when things are easy, not when the sun is shining, but in the chaos, the silence, the grind. That's when you either prove yourself or expose yourself. The world is full of boys in grown men's bodies. They chase pleasure, avoid pain, and complain when life doesn't hand them rewards. But a true man knows that sacrifice is the price of greatness. He understands that his actions ripple through generations. He knows his strength sets the standard for everyone around him. If your family is struggling, it's your responsibility to fix it. If your woman is lost, it's your job to guide her. If your children are weak, it's on you to build them stronger. You don't wait for the government, society, or someone else to step in. You step up. That's your role. That's your burden. And there's honor in that. There is no glory in blaming others. There is no strength in escape. Masculinity demands that you show up even when it's inconvenient. It demands that you remain calm when others panic, that you make decisions with the long term in mind, not just the moment. Because everything you do echoes through your family, your business, your name. The pressure never ends. That's the point. You don't get to rest in the arms of mediocrity. You wake up every day, shoulders tight, jaw clenched, and you move forward. You don't need motivation, you need duty. You don't chase balance, you chase purpose. Being a man is not a reward, it's a responsibility. You're not entitled to comfort. You're called to carry weight others cannot. And the more you carry, the more you become. So the next time life hands you something heavy, don't complain, don't retreat. Grab it with both hands, because the burden is the blessing, and the man who learns to carry it wins. The moment you speak the truth in a world addicted to lies, you become a target. That's the cost of freedom. It's not just about living outside the system, it's about becoming a threat to the system itself. And when you become that threat, the matrix comes for you. It starts small, shadow bans, warnings, subtle smears. Then it escalates. Lies, labels, distortions. They twist your words, take you out of context, call you dangerous, toxic, a threat to public safety. Not because you are, but because you refuse to kneel. Because you said what millions were thinking, but too afraid to say. Because you woke up and had the audacity to wake others up. The Matrix is real. It's not just a sci-fi fantasy. It's the invisible system that governs what you're allowed to believe, say, and pursue. It's the media, the algorithms, the education system, and the endless stream of distractions designed to keep you docile, compliant, and numb. The truth is the virus, and you are the carrier. And here's what they fear most: a man who can't be controlled, a man who doesn't fold under pressure, a man who builds wealth, strength, and influence, and then uses it to pull others out of the fog. That kind of man becomes a target not because he's violent, but because he's awake. And awake men are dangerous. When you go against the narrative, they won't debate you. They won't try to understand you. They'll silence you. Because if your message spreads, their grip weakens. If people start to think for themselves, the entire system starts to collapse. So they use fear, manipulation, and shame to keep the rest in line and to make an example out of anyone who resists. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. The attacks are confirmation. If you're not being censored, hated, or misquoted, you're not a threat yet. You're still inside their box. The moment you start rattling the cage, that's when you know you're on the right path. That's when the fire comes. You must be willing to be hated, willing to be misunderstood, willing to walk through storms with your head high and your mouth shut, not in submission but in focus. The stronger you get, the more resistance you'll face. It's a law of life, but resistance isn't a reason to stop. It's proof that you're growing. And don't expect applause, don't expect justice. The Matrix doesn't care about truth. It cares about control. But if you can endure the hits, keep your mind sharp, your circle tight, and your mission clear, you become untouchable. Not because they stop attacking, but because their attacks no longer shake you. You weren't born to be another number in their system. You were born to be free. And freedom isn't gifted. It's earned. Through battle, through loss, through standing tall when it would be easier to lie down. So if they come for you, let them. If they label you, wear it. If they try to erase you, build louder. Because the Matrix doesn't attack the weak, it attacks those who carry the truth. And truth always wins in the end. Politics is not a debate. It's not a handshake or a polite conversation between two people in suits. Politics is warfare, just with different weapons. And in this war, weak men sit on the sidelines waiting for rules to change in their favor. They pray for politicians to fix their problems, for governments to hand them justice, for society to suddenly turn fair. But nothing about the real world works like that. The man who wins is the one who understands that no law, no vote, and no policy will ever replace personal power. He doesn't waste his life shouting at the television or ranting online. He builds, he adapts, he rises above the system instead of begging it to change. Because he knows that laws shift like the wind, but strength, discipline, and wealth, those are constants in every empire, every regime, every era. There will always be injustice. There will always be corruption. Politicians will always lie. Governments will always act in their own interest. If you're waiting for the system to suddenly become fair, you've already lost. The system isn't broken. It was never built for you. That's the part most people never accept. Real power doesn't care who's in office. Real power doesn't depend on policies or elections. Real power is internal first, external second. You build it in your mind before it ever shows in your bank account or your influence. And when you have it, it doesn't matter who's president, what party is in control, or what law they pass next. You move like a ghost, you adapt like water, you keep building while others are panicking. Weak men love to talk. They shout about injustice but never take action. They cry for change but don't change themselves. They join protests, share hashtags, and think they've made a difference. But strong men move in silence. They understand the real battlefield isn't the ballot, it's the boardroom, the bank account, the daily decisions that lead to independence. When you realize politics is war, you stop hoping and start strategizing. You build multiple income streams. You strengthen your body and sharpen your mind. You protect your family not just with emotion but with systems, skills, and structure. You learn the rules of the game not to follow them blindly, but to play them better than anyone else. You may not control the world, but you can control how you respond to it. That's where your freedom begins. You're not a puppet of politics. You're a player in the game of power. And that mindset alone puts you 10 steps ahead of every man still waiting for permission to rise. So let the world argue, let the media distract, let the politicians promise you stay focused, you stay dangerous, because while they're fighting over crumbs, you'll be building your empire. In war, there are no victims, only victors. And in this political war, you choose whether to be ruled or to rule yourself. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to make a choice, stay a victim or become unstoppable. That moment doesn't come with fanfare. No one warns you. It just hits you in silence when you're staring at your bank account after being betrayed or when everything you worked for falls apart. And in that moment, you either say, "Why me?" or you say, "This is mine to fix." Your life is your responsibility. Every part of it. The good, the bad, the unfair, the painful. It doesn't matter what cards you were dealt. It doesn't matter who lied to you, who broke your heart, or what obstacles stand in your way. The second you blame anything outside of yourself, you lose power. And the second you take full ownership, you become unstoppable. Most people will never understand this. They'll cry about the past, blame their parents, scream at the system, and expect sympathy. But the world doesn't care about your sob story. It respects results. It respects action. It respects the man who takes all the pain, betrayal, and setbacks and uses them as fuel. Yes, life is hard. Yes, people will lie to you. Yes, you'll face failure, disappointment, and injustice. But that's not an excuse to stay weak. That's a reason to get stronger. Every problem is a test, and your response decides who you become. You can stay down and cry about how unfair it is, or you can stand up and make sure it never happens again. Responsibility means no safety net. No one's coming to rescue you. You rescue yourself. You build the body, the money, the mindset, the strategy. You don't wait for luck. You create your own momentum. And when life hits you again, and it will, you hit back harder. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are the actions you take next. You're not defined by what happened to you, but by what you do about it. That's where power begins. Not in comfort, not in pity, but in action. Nobody owes you success. Nobody owes you peace, healing, or respect. If you want it, take it. Earn it. Build it. That's the law of life. Crying about what should have been is for the weak. Strong men focus on what will be and then they create it. This mindset is not common. It's rare, and that's why it's powerful. Because the majority are still begging for someone else to change their life. But not you. You don't wait. You move. You rise. You overcome. Over and over again. Until the world has no choice but to respect your existence. When you finally understand that your life is 100% your responsibility, no matter what, you unlock a level of clarity most people never reach. You're no longer reacting to life, you're leading it. So take it all on. The pressure, the doubt, the weight. Carry it. Own it. And then build a life so strong, so disciplined, and so undeniable that nothing, not lies, betrayal, or pain can stop you. No victim mindset, just results. So now you know, no more excuses, no more waiting for the world to fix itself. The truth is simple, everything is your fault. And that's the best news you'll ever hear, because it means you have the power to change everything. You're not here to be comfortable. You're here to conquer, to carry weight, to speak truth when it's dangerous, to rise even when you're broken. Your pain is not your prison, it's your fuel. Let the weak blame others, let the world cry for fairness. You, on the other hand, are done with that. You're not hoping anymore. You're not asking anymore. You're taking control. You're walking through the fire. You're building your name, your legacy, your empire, whether they like it or not. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who's against you. It's about who you become in spite of it. Everything is your fault, and that's why you'll win.